Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and the start of another new reaction series. Today we're going to be watching, reviewing, and reacting to the first episode of AMC's Interview with the Vampire, based on The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. Now, of course, it's October, Halloween season, spooky season, so it's a good time to start any sort of series that revolves around vampires. But this is actually a special one for me personally. I grew up reading these books. My sister and I both probably started reading them a little earlier than we should have in terms of age, but yeah, and in particular the first couple books in the Vampire Chronicles series and the Mayfair Witches series, which is also being made into a show by AMC. So when I heard all of this was happening, I kind of lost it and got super excited. And of course, as I'm sure many of you are, I'm nervous going into this about potential changes. We already know certain changes have been made. I don't really know what it's gonna be like, but I have to, like, I can show you. This is not even half of my stack that I have. And they're all well read, and some of these are actually second or third copies because I've had to get new ones to replace old ones that were too worn out. So I'm a big fan of this material. So I definitely have to watch it and see how it feels to me, and hoping for the best. Really excited about this. So I don't want to waste any more time. Oh, just to say, I got myself all decked out. I got some pretty lighting and stuff because I feel like Interview with the Vampire reactions has to have some kind of like fabulous looks, so we could try different things out in different weeks. I have the first two episodes are both out, so I'm gonna try to watch them both now if I can. Keep your fingers crossed. But regardless, I'm going to get into the first one right now, and I would like you guys to let me know in the comments if you're interested in full-length versions of these reactions for me to do on Patreon. If that's something you'd be interested in, please let me know, and then maybe for the rest of the series going forward, I could do that if there's enough interest. So, all right, let's get into the episode. Episode 1 of Interview with the Vampire. Here we go. I quite like the opening credits. And the font, like, the font, guys. The font is the appropriate font. Oh, okay, I gotta shut up.
Wrong. People.
First question. You weren't always a vampire, were you? No. I was a 33-year-old man who became a vampire.
Okay, so
There's a simple answer.
this is what they're doing.
I don't believe I want to kill
Like, it was known, alright, I knew that they were aging up the character of Daniel, that the actor was an older actor. But this is actually interesting. They're setting it after, years after that took place.
I hope this letter finds
So
you
they're
safe
meeting everything that's detailed in
Such a
this
thing
Interview
were
with the
a
Vampire
possibility in this bleak hour.
already happened years
I've been
ago.
following your career with some interest
That's
since
interesting.
our last meeting. Please allow me to congratulate you on all your successes, those professional and those personal. Careful whom I let in.
Nice demonstration.
Yeah, well, things didn't end well the last time. So forgive me if I'm a little nervous. All right. That's my voice, but I don't remember it. I ask all the wrong questions.
Yes.
There's contradictions in your story I never follow up on.
Yes.
The few good ones I do manage to get out, you steamroll over them.
I
It's not an
actually
interview,
kind
it's
of
a-
love this.
It's a fever dream
Because, of
told
course,
to an
perspective,
idiot.
the different perspectives of different characters of what happens in
And
this
you?
is an interesting topic.
Why again? What's changed?
So to kind of look at this
World,
as we're revisiting the
circumstances,
classic story
Me, I've changed.
but with some changes of perspective is an interesting thought.
And I too find the tapes lacking.
So, a do-over. Mr.
Louis Dupont du Lac.
So, Mr. Dulac, how long have you been dead?
10. The fall of the 5th year of my father's passing, and the fall of the 5th year.
I actually
of the
think this
executor in
setting
charge of the
changed in time
Family
period
Trust.
could be really
The
interesting as
son.
well.
The favored son, and a sizable trust. Don't make me regret my support. You repeat yourself, Mr. Fenwick. Louis de Point du Lac, sir.
Oh, Pont du Lac.
He's like, oh, okay, I guess I kind of have to be polite to you because you have some money, I guess.
Don't worry, none.
Some
You
ties
see a tween
to
us. Someone got the good doc on the way.
the falseness of it. While you're there having sex with, never mind.
Time. Listen to me, please. I'm having a fucking night, okay? I can't have it with your food. Get on home, else I'll bleed you like a cochon, bruh. Alluded to before.
Whose
You
attention are
couldn't
you
look
drawing?
weak on liberty. You never knew who was watching.
Everything. Please join us.
I know sometimes men of my race, we all look alike to you people.
Oh my god.
But I didn't say you no townhouse.
Louis, have a seat.
Let me explain. New to the new world I am.
That explains the clothes.
19th century man at heart, yes. Playing in the shadows of men and women, dancing by the water's edge. I disembarked for the music, but then there was food.
What's been your favorite this year, Mr. Lianku?
A
Just let's stop
favorite-
sitting there being a charmer as
My
usual.
head.
Oh my god.
I couldn't believe it. Staring me down as his hands went wandering the seams of Miss Lily's dress. I couldn't move. My body was seized with weakness. His gaze tied a string around my lungs, and I found myself immobilized.
And the women.
He looks
Oh,
so
shades of
perfect
skin.
right now. I'm sorry. Just the way that he's
Right.
looking, like with the dead predator eyes while speaking all charming.
Avec un couteau de sa canne et presser la lame sur le stomach de son frère. That was to be my destiny.
Oh.
Now I know I was right.
Saint Louis.
Only it turns out the saint is not a city. but
Oh my
a
lord.
handsome man
Let's
with
stop.
a most agreeable disposition.
You're his destiny, Louis.
Destined to be very good.
That's
The
one way to put
REP
it.
is available for the next few hours, Miss Lily.
The gentleman.
Okay, a bit bloodier than I expected.
Please tell me there's an outbreak of fever in town.
Oh yes, an outbreak of
Unfortunately,
fever.
it's living near the wharf mostly.
Find
Special
yourself
kind of
Riverside
fever.
Decatur, you have only
Lestat
yourself
fever.
to blame, I say.
Agreed. Still very.
These men look down on you.
Whoa.
I have to say, I find it appalling how men like yourself are treated in this country of yours. Undeniable. I came to
He's
my
like-
wealth honestly, and at great sacrifice, I might add. However,
Yeah.
it was not the sacrifice of many. I had no partners in my various. 10%.
Very honestly.
15%.
Oh
Do you not know
man.
your value?
This is
Do you
cool.
suffer these indignities for some larger purpose? But where
That
is
was
the
pretty
business if
cool.
there is no
But
capital? It
Louis
does
like,
not exist.
excuse me? Wait, hold on. What just happened? He gave you some money, that's what just happened.
Wanted to know everything he could about it.
So you played docent to the gentleman vampire.
He had not revealed his vampire nature yet.
I'm assuming you only met at night.
It's New Orleans. Days are for sleeping off the previous evening's damage.
Perfect place for him to
Cover for a
go.
vampire.
Racing ahead again, Mr. Malloy. Let the tale seduce you. Just as I was seduced.
I like that.
Money. I was being hunted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was completely unaware it was happening.
Yep, the charming predator.
Oh, that's good yawn.
Are you one with Christ, Mr. Leon?
How
Uh-oh.
about you shut your damn mouth?
Okay, Louis.
Louis.
I wanted to be a priest.
We're actually...
Just so
Okay.
simple. And under the guidance and discipline of the monks who lived there, I came to memorize both the testaments.
Some honesty
Writings of
coming out of
Sissi,
Lestat here.
Aquinas, Erasmus, all the saints and scholars. Did not think much of this education. And so he and my brothers conspired to pull me out.
Some real
Lock me
emotion
away.
that he's feeling.
Aquinas,
Here.
Erasmus, all of it. And so, to answer your boring question, there is an ocean between Christ and myself.
Why his pupils are getting bigger?
Don't do that shit here.
Okay, they're just going full on here right now, huh? They're like, you know what? There's a lot of homoerotic undertones in the Interview with the Vampire book that doesn't directly go there, but then later, of course, in the Vampire Chronicles, it does directly go there with some characters. So it seems like they're like, we're just gonna skip the undertones and we're gonna go, we're not gonna pretend here. Oh yeah. There it is. Oh, Louis! You think that you're being free to be yourself, but... It's just tragic though, because you know, like it's like the part of his actual life, the parts of his actual life he's gonna lose really soon.
I love you, Louis.
I love you too, baby brother.
Oh yeah, he's definitely about to jump.
I ate too much checker cake.
Louis not. Oh god, he has no idea.
Oh.
He's just gonna walk right off. Would certainly make it easier to not miss the
Miss
sunrise.
the sun. The reminders it carries.
Die. But not the vampire.
The vampire is bored. The human was destroyed. Utterly destroyed.
Yep.
I was at the funeral.
Paul gone down the other way. Paul's in hell because of you.
It's just awful.
An elegant coffee. Would you tell me where you purchased?
Move on.
It's like, are you fucking kidding
I
me
wait
right
on my
now?
balcony every night. You've been avoiding me.
But he wants to know where they purchased that
Yourself a poor
because
substitute, and I
Uh-oh.
don't take kindly to
It's my
being
brother's
avoided.
funeral.
Believe me when I tell you, your brother longed for that flagstone.
What'd you say to me?
I got it, boss.
Keeping of those in attendance. He would not let me.
Hello, handsome.
That's right.
My heart broke when I heard of your brother's passing.
Miss Lily.
Oh, my dear.
I don't care if she's busy with someone. I pay more. 'Cause I like Miss
he
Lily.
killed her.
I need Miss Lily.
He killed
Before you
her.
died.
He killed her, taking away all of his support system.
Police
Oh
found her
my
under
God.
the docks. Said she contracted the
Please, he's in my head, Father. The devil is in New Orleans.
Calm down, son.
And I lie to myself saying that I'm giving them roof and food and dollar bills in their pocket, but I look in the mirror, I know what I am. The big man in the big house, stuffing cotton in my ears so I can't hear the cries. And Lord, I drag my family into this mess with me. I shamed my father. I failed my brother.
No, son.
I lost my mother and sister, and rather than fix it like a man should, Lord, I run like a coward. His voice and his words, please.
Oh God,
Help me!
he's coming.
I am weak!
He lit up a fire. Oh, Jesus.
You think God had you, Louis, in that tawdry box? To this pig vessel? This charlatan?
Killed Lily.
Yeah.
Cut short that magnificent life she was living. What a tragedy.
Oh my God.
Ain't no fever out there. That's you. You bringing the death to town.
I give death to those deserving. I'm not the devil.
Oh, this is a cool way of showing how fast he is. Through his idea of the pace. Whoa! Okay, that was a bit more gruesome than I expected.
I can take away that sorrow, Louis. I can give you that death you begged your feeble, blind, degenerate, non-existent God for. But I can do it joyfully. I can swap this life of shame. Swap it out for a dark gift and a power you can't begin to imagine.
He's saying exactly all the right things.
You just have to ask me.
All the right things.
It is difficult to explain how his words disarmed me, how efficiently succinct and impenetrable his argument was. Surrounded me. For the first time in my life, I was seen.
Be my companion.
It came as a dull roar at first, and then a pounding. Like the pounding of a drum. Growing louder and louder, as if some enormous creature were coming through a dark and alien forest. I opened my eyes, and it was then that I realized the drum was my heart, and the other drum the beginning.
That was episode 1 of AMC's Interview with the Vampire series. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I was really pleased with this so far. Like I said going into it, I wasn't quite sure what to expect because we knew that there were some significant changes that were being made, you know, beyond the specific changes to the time period setting and to Louis's background, his personal background, and to Daniel being older. So, you know, and there's some other ones that'll be coming up, I believe, as well. So I wasn't quite sure going into it, but I feel as though watching it, that there seems to be good and potentially very worthwhile reasons for all of the changes that they've made, and they all kind of seem to be working for me so far. First of all, the Daniel thing, aging him up. But not like, okay, so they age him up, but they don't make it as though they're just having them meet for the first time with Daniel as an older man. No, they make it as though the meeting that happens and that is the basis of Interview with the Vampire and everything that's written here did happen years ago when he was much younger, when he was a younger man, and that at the end he asked Louis to make him a vampire and got attacked by it. All of that occurred. That still happened. But instead, now, all these years later, when Daniel is an old man and dying, Louis comes back and wants to basically redo the interview because he's not satisfied with it. And it turns out that Daniel isn't satisfied with it either after going back and actually listening. So now you have somebody who's coming at the story from the perspective of a much older man with a ton of different life experiences, and also a much more experienced journalist who would have a better sense of how to pry into things, how to not let Louis off the hook, and just abandon, you know, like he was saying, some of his criticisms of the previous one, just letting go contradictions and things. It puts him in a better position, especially because as you go throughout the Vampire Chronicles, there are things in Louis' account from Interview with the Vampire that are called into question, because of course that's from his perspective alone, and it's self-serving at times and overly self-deprecating at times, and there's differences. There's a question of the reliability of the narrator. So I like that they're actually having Daniel push on that without doing away with the history of the story as it's told here. And he's still like retelling the same life story. So we are still getting the basics of Interview with the Vampire, but with that added layer that I think is really interesting. And so far I'm pretty pleased with that. The changes to the time period and to Louis, I think they also all work really well, especially with Louis. They're adding in the extra dimension of him being not just Creole, but a black man, and a gay but not openly gay black man in this time period who is the head of his family and trying to, you know, take care of everything for his family, but only has like limited means to do so, which require him to basically constantly take shit, I don't know a better, easier way to put it, from a bunch of racist white people all around him, just to get by, that require him to hide who he actually is by going to visit a prostitute regularly, and try to repress everything else, that require him to feel a ton of shame constantly and guilt. And also, I think that all of those things make Lestat's kind of overture to him that much more compelling to him, and the idea of how he's seduced, like he talks about it as a seduction, the story's a seduction, be seduced in it, makes a lot of sense. And like I was saying before, the romantic relationship between Louis and Lestat is not explicitly spelled out in Interview with the Vampire, but it's pretty, like, there's a ton of undertones, and in later books things are more explicit. So I think it's good that they're just going directly at it. I think that that's better for the characters and the story overall, and like I said, I also think that serves to make things more compelling, but so does the racial change and the time period. So in addition to that, like the family dynamics, okay, the family dynamics not exactly the same, of course, but I also do like that they showed the significance of his relationship with his brother. And that also gave a good opportunity to put that conversation with Lestat, which is a true story, and you can see the actual emotion on Lestat's face, but that's a true story that we get in detail in later book. Yeah, so that also, it shows to me how much they're drawing in from future material, and, you know, so it's not just that these are people that read Interview with the Vampire and wanted to adapt it. No, these are people familiar with the characters and the Vampire Chronicles that wanted to adapt it, which I think makes me pretty optimistic. And then, okay, so that brings me to, for me, the best part of this whole thing, and that is Lestat. The way he's written, the way he is portrayed, the way he is filmed, just everything about him, to me, so far, has been perfect. Like, it perfectly encapsulates the idea of this predator that's also able to seduce you and be charming and hypnotic, that you associate with the vampires in general, but with Lestat in particular as well. From the Vampire Chronicles, he has all his right attitude and the kind of style and the swagger, and his dynamic with Louis is fantastic. I think the actor's doing a really good job. I like I said, the way that they've chosen to film certain things about him. Like when Louis was first talking to him and he was saying he couldn't move, he was frozen, and his eyes, like, really the predatory nature of it, like you were caught and hypnotized but also being charmed. And then you see that dynamic again at the end, right before he accepts Lestat trying to give it to a vampire, but with an added like softness and element of kind of love that Lestat is trying to put out in the charm. And then I also thought it was really cool the way that they showed Lestat's perspective on his chasing down the priest, by having it seem as though the priest was going super slowly and Lestat was walking normally, which is very different from a lot of, you know, supernatural or vampire type things where you'd see just like a flash blur because of the supernatural speed, and then the person would be the POV point of view of how fast they moved. I like this, and it of course makes sense because this is the vampire's point of view, that, or at least it will be for the majority of this series. And yeah, so far I'm extremely pleased. I'm gonna wrap this up here because, like I said, I want to be able to watch the second episode today as well. But please do let me know in the comments how you guys are feeling after this first episode. What are your thoughts on the series so far? Are you optimistic? And also, if you're interested in having me put full-length reactions up on Patreon, if that's something you would be interested in watching, let me know that as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.